All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. We are live from the apocalypse. We are a not for profit TTRPG studio that raises money for aid organizations and good causes. Currently, we are raising money for medical aid for Palestinians. I do not need to tell you why that is important. We all know why that is important right now. And so we ask that rather than giving us bits, subscriptions, interacting at all with cryptocurrency in any aspect of your life, that instead you donate directly to medical aid for Palestinians. And you can do that either by going to where the subscribe button would usually be, or if you, like some, tend to be on mobile, you can type !donate and the link will bring you right there. There is no expectation, of course, but any money that we are able to put in their direction, we are very grateful for. We always make note that while we have hidden the subscribe button, we are not allowed to remove it. So if you do choose to seek it out at your own peril, you are welcome to do so, particularly if you have an Amazon Prime sub that you would be throwing our way. We just want to let you know that if you do, beloved Dimension 20 Dungeon Master Brendan Lee Mulligan will kill one dog for every month that you have been subscribed. So, weigh those choices, see what you can live with, and then act on that impulse. This is Redacted. This is not what Redacted usually looks like. There are usually more players with us, but we are in the midst of a series of several special sessions for this game, where we are taking each of our haunted houses and/or duplexes full of ghosts and giving them a chance to get to explore things more fully and intensely than they may have gotten to in the midst of the mystery that they have found themselves in. Redacted is a psychological horror game, and as such comes with a number of pieces of content that may be distressing for people, given some of the dynamics. So some of the pieces of content you may want to keep an eye out for. These include, as we have a history of being at an old tuberculosis ward, content ranging from medical abuse and neglect, forced institutionalization, fire, burning, and general manipulation and gaslighting. There is also a history of cults on this island of Slatethorn, which again comes with that manipulation, gaslighting, cult activities, and ritualistic scarification and sacrifice. Substance abuse, alcoholism, all of those dynamics. Serial killer, which comes along with some ritualistic murder to add to the mix. And throughout this game, we have also encountered subjects involving suicide, drowning, and those sorts of pieces of content. So if any of those would be crossing any lines for you, we invite you to take time away from this to instead tune in for a Live from the Apocalypse production that does not include those pieces of content, and to make sure you are practicing self-care and doing what you need to do for your own safety and comfort. Thank you so much for the bad stuff. I am so delighted. Chloe, Will,
Of
delightful.
course. I knew it. I fucking knew it. Of course. This is what happens.
I don't know that I've gotten like 2 sets of bad stuff for a game on LFTA in a while, and I'm delighted.
All right.
I'm sure it's going to be fine.
All right. This will be remembered.
Q, you keep signing up to play more games with me.
No, it's true. It's so very true.
The last piece of content I do want to make note of, as this particularly revolves around Q's set of ghosts and their story, is that we may be encountering content involving dead or endangered children as part of this. So again, be mindful of your needs, and if you need to step away, we definitely want you to prioritize yourself. Will, you are not innocent. And it was not an accident. And so it is weird with this to not be going in a whole, round robin of the entire cast. So I get to throw this directly at you, Q. Please introduce yourself and your haunted house full of ghosts.
Hi, I'm Q, everyone's favorite neighborhood cowboy maker. Uh, he, him for your boy, and then he, him for all of the characters, all of the ghosts in this haunted apartment complex. We have Weston, the villain, Raven, the trickster, Christian, the hero, and Russell, the child.
And a question mark with a staticky shadow being that
Mm-hmm.
sometimes shows up to say hello.
Mm-hmm. Or just smile real big.
It's true. They do
Is
that.
which is fine.
It is so very, very fine. I appreciate that I am now being encouraged to misuse my mod powers to give myself bad stuff as well. But I will not do that.
Thank you so much. Don't listen to the goblin.
Listen, there are so many more opportunities for anyone else to donate good stuff and bad stuff. It's fine. Besides, if this holds true to every other game I have ever run where people give me so much bad stuff, the choices you make will ensure that I do not need to use that at all.
Listen, listen. I like to win, so I don't want to make bad choices. Is the thing. Why I play Weston.
I was thinking I was literally sitting there going, what bad choices have any of your characters in this game made? And realizing that I can't really come up with much.
Yeah, I make good choices.
There's a trail of bodies behind you, but
Oh,
you make good
absolutely. They're
choices.
fucked up choices, but I make good choices. Is the thing. I'm still here to tell a good story. I just like to also do good.
You do, although now I do have two sets of bad stuff and only one player in front of me.
Yeah, yep, sure is. And I am gonna tell on Will. It was an accident.
Listen, I love what the chat is saying tonight. You all are delightful, and this makes me happy. Weston et al., since there are so many of you,
Yeah.
we keep acknowledging, as we should, that it has been a weird. Go ahead, Q.
No, no,
Say
no.
say what you need to say.
No, this is in the chat. It's okay. Please continue. I'm here. We're locked in.
See, Will is distracting us, and that's okay. I can respect that.
So true. All right. But yes, it has been a wild time. And it also has been a while.
It's been a while, and it's been a wild 48 hours, or give or take.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's an important thing to remember that, you literally met and lost Sophie in the first 24 hours
Right.
of
Right. First
knowing
20.
her.
Right. And I feel like honestly, the first 12, if we're being all the way real, it's hard to tell. It's hard to really say.
Listen, I made David Lynch's 24, and I'm not sorry about it.
That's so fair. It's so fair. Not Wes Anderson's 24, because that's a very
It's
different thing
such different vibes.
that I messed up, but it's still in my head about it's fine.
I love it. It's delightful. I need to think more about what that would look like.
Trippy for sure.
I mean, I think during cult time, it may have looked trippy like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. That's Wes Anderson's 24. It's the 70s. Got it.
And so, Weston, as these days have gone on, these strange events, these new inhabitants of your body, you and the others have been determined to figure out what is going on, what has you here, and what you can do to get the fuck away from this island.
Right. It seems that we have to do it with the collective, but the collective is a fucking mess. So we will do our best to be just us. We're always looking and planning and plotting because I'm going to get out. And it's just a matter of other people are coming along with.
And I'm curious, Weston, when you say the other people, do you mean the three others currently stuck in your body? Do you mean the other four that you have met
Yes.
on both counts?
Mm,
So you would leave those three ghosts behind,
if it called for it.
even Russell?
Maybe not the boy, only because I promised I wasn't his monster. He probably deserves a rest.
Weston, what would it take for you to break that promise?
Me almost dying. Like, if it's a decision between whether or not I survive and the boy stays, I want to choose to survive. He already lived and died. This is my cycle. It's gonna stay mine.
And you're not going to lose out on that time that you have, even to keep that promise if it came to it.
Exactly.
What about the others?
What about them?
Hmm. What about them indeed?
Some has been reporter who fumbled his big break, got tricked by some old white man, some closet case. I don't care. And then there's a strung out junkie. They're here. They're useful. But tools eventually run out of being useful.
And so while you are stuck with them, at least they can be useful.
Right.
If you had to choose, Who would go first?
Christian.
Why
Too
him?
too goody goody. That's why. He wants to be the hero, and that's not what I'm here for.
What are you here for, Weston?
I thought I was here to tie up loose ends. Someone knew about my emphatic exchange. Tried to blackmail me about it. Still haven't seen this person. Don't know who that was.
You do. You do know at this point that those postcards came from our new scientist friend.
Sure. They're not the one pulling the strings.
And wouldn't you say though, Weston, that in many ways you are here to still tie up loose ends? They're just not your direct loose ends.
Yeah, but that's not what I came for. I got roped into that.
Weston, how do you feel about the fact that someone else is pulling your strings?
I'm seething. I've been seething since I found that fucking postcard. It has not gotten better.
What would you do if you found the person who was pulling these strings?
Well, I don't think they would last very long. Especially not now. I have quite a bit of frustration to work out. And I've seen the MOs for several of the deaths on this island, so wouldn't be hard to just put it rank and file.
Well, Weston, we'll see if perhaps you get that chance even tonight.
We'll see.
Weston, moments ago, you were preparing to see about following some of these threads to see if between the, I'm always having to do math in my head for this, 16 of you who are here, if you could start to visit some locations that hold various pieces of the past, pieces of research, and figure out where to go next because every direction you've gone in so far has been a dead end, sometimes quite literally. And just as the group was making the choice to go their separate ways, reality got strange again, and not in the way it did when Thurston broke it, not in the other ways things have happened with the island reverting and changing, not with anything like that. It it was stranger. You had this moment of standing there, and in some ways it felt like you just blinked, but maybe you didn't blink. Hadn't you felt tired a moment before? You must have rested your eyes. It felt like a moment, though. It didn't feel like it was a long time. And then your eyes opened, and you were no longer on the island of Slatethorn. You weren't anywhere you recognized or could pinpoint. I don't know how much interest Weston in particular would have. I feel like the answer is none, but in abandoned places, particularly those old abandoned amusement parks.
Two of his least favorite things: abandoned places and theme parks.
And so I think it is fair to say, Weston, you would have no idea, as would none of the others, if this is a real place or simply a reflection of what you would imagine an abandoned amusement park would look like. You're standing right inside the gates, right through the turnstiles and all of that. And it's strange because it's almost monochromatic, almost like an old photograph, but when you look harder, it seems more like, no, it's just the sun setting a bit. There's not quite enough light. It's that time where everything just looks a little bit off, a little bit muted.
I'm gonna explore, I guess.
The grudgingness with which you said that was incredible.
Yeah, that's kind of where he's at. He's like, well, we're here for a reason. Fine. And we're gonna move forward. We've gathered a couple of things on our journeys throughout the place. Like I have a number of implements with which to shiv and or beat. Do I still have them on me?
You do.
Perfect. Just wanted to be sure.
Yeah, that is a very valid question. You still have everything that was on your person. Weston, it is beyond unnaturally quiet. You are walking along, you see off to the left an old fountain with a sculpture that has a horned figure atop it. You see some of those flying swings. You can see roller coasters and larger attractions in the background. Nothing is moving. Everything is off. What you see in terms of the metal is old and rusted. The chairs above you just creaking in the wind, but that seems strange because there isn't wind. And you notice that beneath your feet, there's the crunching of what sounds like leaves. But if you glance down, Weston, it's not leaves, it's pieces of paper.
Okay. Pick one up.
It's for a missing child. This one in particular is for a child named Elliot Davies. And that name doesn't mean anything to Weston, but it does to Russell. Because Russell, how could you forget your roommate?
Elliot. I think the body posture changes. Uh, he's more, he's closer to the ground now. Starts to look at the different papers to see if there are other people or other missing children on these papers on the floor, on the ground.
You see another one that says Evelyn McNeil. And again, you remember that was the name of another one of the children there. You see another that says Samantha Fowler. And again, it's these names that there weren't many children who were there, but there are enough that, at least with some duplicates, as you see as you keep picking up these flyers, there are enough to carpet the ground in front of you.
I think he holds them to his chest. He's hugging them. I'm, I hope you're not stuck like ghosts like me. And I think just imparting that warmth into the letters. So the posters, the flyers of his, for lack of a better word, friends. They were together in one of the worst situations any of them had been in.
I think this might potentially call for a shadow roll.
Noted. Oh boy. Oh no. Okay, well, hey, that's so not gonna do it. I'm gonna go ahead and take that because I tried to count it like that was gonna matter.
No. What did you roll out of curiosity?
I rolled a 4.
Incredible.
Yeah,
Yeah, take that insight. All yours.
will do. Ooh, what's that?
Russell, you are trying to provide that comfort, that warmth to them. And instead, as you're holding these pages to your chest, cradling them in your arms, you start to feel cold.
Hmm.
starting where the papers are closest to your skin. It's like there is ice forming in your chest, starting to radiate out towards your arms, moving down towards your legs. Because you're supposed to be dead.
I don't love that, is the thing. I think he starts to panic, um, feeling that cold wave of death sort of radiate off him. Um, need to decide. Okay. I think Raven will speak. Hey, breathe. It's just your mind playing tricks on you. You're still here. You're still alive. He doesn't say out loud for the most part, but there is a little shrug. Breathe. You got power, kid. You should use it. And I think I'm gonna try and get Russell to focus up and try again.
I think that is fair. I think I'm going to actually ask you to make 2 rolls.
Okay.
I'm going to have Raven start by making a social prowess roll.
Easy. Easy peasy. That is 10.
Incredible. In that case, I will let Russell make that shadow roll again with a +1.
Oh, very good. Oh, yeah. 11.
Beautiful. Incredible.
You love to see it.
What does Russell draw on to steady himself, to bring that warmth back into the body?
Gwyd and the Finleys. The moment between Russell and Weston when he was afraid of the monster, but the monster became an ally. It's a love for the people around him.
And Russell, as you tap into that love, not only does warmth return to your body, but warmth radiates out. And everywhere around you where the colors looked muted starts to brighten up, starts to change. The pages that were on the ground in front of you, those flyers, they're pushed away like a wind has come in to blow on them. And you hear machinery around you starting to crank to life.
Wow.
Has Russell ever been to an amusement park?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And also, he's in control of the body right now. So we like the realization that this place is coming to life. He definitely wants to be involved. So he's gonna start playing with stuff.
And it's a little hard because despite the fact that there are four of you, there is only one body, so there is not someone to stand by the controls while Russell gets to experience any of these rides for the most part. But there are carnival games that he can play. There are bumper cars that he can jump into. He could maybe try to leap onto the Ferris wheel, but that might be a little ill advised.
Probably. Listen, the childlike urge to just sort of slide off, separate is strong. I just want you to know that. Yeah, and I think in this moment, especially after such a reminding himself that he is alive, I think he is fully giving into that childlike wonder so that he's gonna try and separate.
Okay. I think that is another shadow roll.
Yeah, he needs to be better at it. Uh, okay. Okay. Incredible. 10 still.
Okay. So I think my first question is, does Russell separate only himself?
Okay. I think the question is it easier to just pull the pin on all of them, or is it easier for him to detach? That is the question.
I think that's a good question.
Uh-huh.
I would say, all right, the tech gremlins got us, but we are getting things back on track. So, Russell, you were in the midst of deciding whether or not you were going to pull the pin on everyone or just slide off yourself.
Right. And I think again, it's a matter of which would be the easiest. And it seems like Russell just sort of popping off is going to be the easiest. So he's going to do that.
And this may seem like a silly question, but I'm still going to ask it. When Russell manages to disengage, disentangle himself, what do we see?
I think back in that time, we called him a mulatto child. Fair skin, but definitely has some features that shows a mixed parentage. Bright eyes, sad, tired, but definitely full of light and wonder, especially in this moment. Scrawny, sort of, I believe the word is gangly for his particular body composition. Um, Definitely looks like could have done with a few good meals, maybe a biscuit or two. But it doesn't seem to stop him or slow him down at all.
Russell, where do you go? What do you want to see? I mean, everything, but
Yeah, everything. Um,
everything.
I think for a moment he just sort of takes everything in. He's just sort of not even take everything in. He's just sort of absorbing the essence of this amusement park. There's so many lights and sounds and colors. I think the biggest and the quickest draw for him is the merry-go-round,
Mhm,
especially because he realizes he can push a button and it just goes, and
mhm.
then he can hop on it. Oh yeah, he's sold. He's on a horse. He's in one of the carriages. He's having a blast.
And so we're going to follow Russell in a moment, but before we do, I want to ask, with Russell jumping ship, who's taking control of the body?
Christian, um, child is now on his own, so that's unacceptable. Um, and so we need to go after him just to make sure that he's okay. We've been given this moment, this opportunity to relax, I guess, or what it seems like. So might as well let the boy have a little fun. Lord knows he didn't get to do that when he was a child.
And so Christian has stepped in a bit as a surrogate parent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
never got to do that on his own. So
Christian, I'm imagining that, wanting to keep your eyes at least somewhat on Russell, that as he has gone over to the carousel, you have followed. And as you are watching, Russell's enjoyment doesn't seem to change at all, but there's a few moments where you think, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. I keep watching this carousel going around. I'm sure that that horse was that color before. I'm sure that painted black, it had red eyes. Of course that makes sense. And it's small things. It's again a change in color. Animal that you're pretty sure is straight out of mythology, but why would that be a strange thing? It's a carousel, after all.
mm-hmm.
There's all types of animals, but what are those translucent shapes sitting on some of these creatures?
Hmm. Okay, so we're gonna get on the carousel. We're gonna get on the carousel. We're gonna join Russell. Hey, bud, you having a good time? Yeah. Great. All right. So, we will need to get off of here at some point. We do have other things to do, and we got to find the rest of the people. It's just like a little bit longer, like one more time. And I'm gonna look around at the translucent figures. Have they moved? Are they getting closer?
The thing is, they don't seem to be moving, not in a deliberate, intentional way.
Mm-hmm.
It's more you take your eyes off of them, and when you look back, they're somewhere else. Sometimes it's a little bit closer, sometimes it's further away, but you saw the pictures on those flyers, and so you recognize some of those faces.
Hmm. Hmm. Not better. I'll be honest. Not better. Well, at least they're not drowned women. We're going to Christians will think about it for like half a second. Now, listen, we've been awful nice. Uh, and Weston has been very patient about this, but I think it's time we about hit that old dusty trail. But if you agree to come with me right now, we can try and see if they've got like a popcorn or cotton candy stand. I imagine there's got to be some somewhere. Popcorn, like a test of like probably not entirely sure what that is. Cotton candy, cotton candy, please. Yeah, all right. Okay, we'll go ahead and get cotton candy. Probably, he's gonna lead Russell off of the carousel.
I would like you to roll with awareness.
Okay, okay. So right, okay. Hey, oop, oop, the wrong character. No.
All right. So, Christian, you, I think, are just very much focused, especially since both of you are on the carousel. There's, no one to stop it. So, you are focused on getting Russell off back on solid ground. And you've also been keeping your eye out for these ghostly children who have been there, trying to see if anything has changed. And that is why you don't see the water until your foot slips
Oh no.
and you go crashing off the carousel.
Ouch.
And I would like you to take psychic damage from that.
Sure. Well, that's fair.
And it isn't the slipping and falling that is the worst, Christian, because as you are on the ground trying to gather yourself, everything starts to get dark around you
Oh
as a number of familiar figures, familiar shapes
no. Oh dear.
cluster around where you lay, their hair dripping, their skin mottled and bloated, the smell of seawater all around them and you.
Is there any way I can like scoot out?
You would be at risk of getting struck by the moving carousel, at least in this immediate moment. The only direction you could go is back towards it.
Okay. Hmm. You know what? I'm like rubber. I bounce. We're gonna go for it.
Okay. I
Even if
think
like rolling, I just sort of bounce off of it and skid away. I want to be able to get up and not surrounded by beings that haunt my once again waking days.
I think that's reasonable. Roll with physicality.
Here we go. It's 12, baby. 12, baby.
What does it look like as Christian gets away?
So I think he's got Russell tucked under like in one arm, and then one with one arm and two legs, he just sort of powerfully scoots back. Like it doesn't feel great, but he's not, in that position for long. He's gonna kip up like right before he gets to the carousel. Sorry, ladies, nothing personal, um, but we do have things to do, um, and I don't have enough room in this carriage for guilt. He's just gonna keep going.
I mean, on that incredible roll, I think you are very well able to keep moving, Christian. You realize, well, they have appeared to you a few times now. They don't seem to be aggressive. They don't seem to be reaching out to hurt you. In fact, you find yourself in this place of wondering what exactly they want because they're just standing and watching. How long do you watch them?
He's he's not a quiet watcher. So I think when like he starts to make his escape and they just kind of look, he's just gonna go, if you're not here to do me or my friends harm, we can talk. You can talk. Sorry if that's offensive. I'm not entirely sure how this works.
You say that, Christian, and none of them open their mouths. None of them speak. Instead, moving as one, all of the drowned girls point. And you see on one of the buildings, as you're kind of backing away, getting a little bit of space between you and them, you see the words appear as though scratched into the surface of the walls. Why did you fail us?
See, this is what I meant when I said I don't have enough for guilt. I'm sorry. I had the story and it was stripped from me. Got help from someone I trusted and it was sabotaged.
The words that follow are overlapping. Some are just the word why over and over and over again. How could you? sorry isn't enough.
Already died. I'm dead. So let me use this extra time trying to make it right. Trying to make it right with everyone. Just give me a chance.
The word why stops being scrawled and is instead replaced by how. How will you do that? How will you make things right? How will you fix this?
I don't know yet. Still working on that plan. But I ain't the one that killed you. I maybe there's some way to expose who really did it. Tell the truth. I find the truth. Show it to others.
Christian, things seemed to quiet in that moment, and the wall that they had been scrawling on goes blank, like it was never marred to begin with.
Mhm.
But then, no longer scrawled, but written in what looks like blood, you see the words appear, but you all have blood on your hands.
Okay, well, maybe it's time we cleaned it all off for all of us.
The next words painted out are, you would need to acknowledge the bodies left in your wake.
I have. Did until my last breath.
You did. Then all capitalized, underlined, all of you need to.
Listen, I'm not the boss of them. That's not. Well, y'all heard her. Well, you can see it. I think Raven, not fully separating, but definitely like sort of a wisp on Christian's shoulder, devil in his ear. I mean, We just get this all done at once. Is there like a fun house somewhere? All of us experiencing our past, uh, seeing what ghosts we have in our closet, that we can get it done and be over with. And then maybe all of your drowned ladies wouldn't be so mad. I mean, that certainly would be something. But we all have to agree. Weston looking sort of internally like he's considering a chessboard. Are they asking us to show remorse or just to acknowledge it? Christian will look to the drowned girls. Are they supposed to be sorry or are they just saying, hey, I did this?
The drowned girls do not answer. Instead, they point again, this time towards something behind you. And you turn to look, because how could you not follow the path of
Obviously.
their fingers and where they are guiding you? And you first notice, indeed, a funhouse, but it looks somewhat out of place because it looks like the kind of funhouse you would find at a carnival, not at an amusement park that has clearly had money and time and effort put into it.
Right. This is Ramshackle.
But standing on the steps is that glitching, staticky shadow that you saw at Abraham's funeral.
Mm.
And you hear a voice that sounds almost like it's coming through a voice modulator, or it's just so corrupted by static it's hard to tell. And it simply asks, that depends. Do you want to break the cycle?
So, okay. So, okay, question. If I if I show remorse, then that's me agreeing to want to break the cycle. But if I don't, then that's we're not breaking the cycle and we're just stuck here. Is that what I'm getting?
Figure nods.
Sure. Show me my sins so that I may repent.
The door to the funhouse creaks open.
Great. The Weston body holding Russell's hand now is going to walk inside.
And the door shuts behind you, leaving you for at least this brief moment in darkness. A dripping sound from somewhere up ahead. And I think that is an excellent place for us to take a break.
Agreed.
And we will be back in 10 minutes to see what horrors await.
So many horrors.
So many, all the horrors.
All the horrors.
All right, we are back. Time to explore a funhouse where there's the sound of something dripping somewhere within. I have to ask, and I'm gonna let this decision be up to you because I will admit I've been conflicted. So,
Okay.
do we start with Weston or do we start with Russell?
Feel like we have to start with Russell.
I think that is very, very fair. And Russell, you were having such a wonderful, beautiful day getting to ride the carousel, getting ready to have cotton candy. When suddenly things got a lot more chaotic, there were dead, drowned girls surrounding you,
Yeah.
conversations happening all around you, and then you were carried into the funhouse. But you're not being carried now.
Well, alone.
Yes, Russell, you're all alone.
I think the small frame tucks in even further. He's small, trying to go about the world unnoticed when he doesn't have others at his side. He will move forward.
And so, Russell, you are carefully, cautiously making your way through these halls. And it at first is simply disorienting, but in the way fun houses are, not that Russell has any experience with them. You know, the type of floors being slanted and uneven, a moment of air, being jetted out at you,
Uh-huh.
some hydraulics moving the panels.
Yeah. Terrifying. All terrifying. thought thought this house was supposed to be fun. It's not fun. It's scary.
It it is, and it is even more so for Russell, given what he has experienced, what he has seen, the fact that there is still that drip, drip, drip coming from somewhere up ahead. And then, Russell, you turn a corner, and I don't know that it is of any comfort for you, but you are in a familiar room, an antiseptic, sterile room with a window that did hold a view of the water beyond, since the fresh air was supposed to help with tuberculosis.
Mhm. Never did.
The room is empty, but as you stand there, you start to hear low voices murmuring to one another, not quite whispering, but the sounds of people who do not want to be overheard.
I am nothing if not a curious child. So I do want to go and investigate that.
And so you do. You move closer to the door, still in a position where you won't be seen. And you hear three of the adults that you actually like, that actually make you feel somewhat safe in a way that Dr. Thurston absolutely does not. It's the Finleys. It's Gwydion. And you don't necessarily understand what they're saying. I think there might even be a moment where for Russell, he can't help but wonder, Dr. Finley is a doctor, so is he talking about a new cure? But why would a cure involve fire? Why would they be talking about burning?
I think he's just watching, trying to get any shred of something that would help it make sense.
And there are a few pieces that perhaps make it make more sense. You hear a day discussed, a date, in fact, and you think that's coming soon. That's You're not quite sure what day it is, but you know that date isn't far off. And then you hear talk of who will be evacuated, who they will get out. And you hear Mrs. Finley mention your name.
What's the general consensus of?
The general consensus is that they can't save everyone.
I think there's that welling up of the thought of being left behind when this place that had been his home with the people in this place that he trusted, to hear them potentially leaving him behind. There's just an involuntary response, a noise that leaves him that is one of distress. Um, there are tears forming where words don't match up because he doesn't have it in his mind at the time to properly encapsulate what he's feeling. So he's just crying quietly so as to not draw attention, because attention is bad in a place with Dr. Thurston.
And because of that, it takes a few moments for you to process this, Russell, but you do hear them talking through a list of names, talking through who they think they can save. And your name is on it.
Okay.
but your roommate's isn't.
Hmm. think I think he would go and tell. Just, yeah,
And you see, just as you remember how sick Elliot was. He was what the adults would know, what they would understand, would be in the later stages. He had been coughing up blood now for some time. He's pale. His breathing is sometimes so shallow, you're not sure he has been. And he doesn't say anything. You know it's gotten hard for him to speak, but he opens his eyes and looks at you.
sorry, 1 second. Hey, the doctors. I think the doctors might have something to help the pain go away soon. Okay.
He looks at you, and it is a look of hopeful longing, of desperation. And he manages to ask, "Really? The pain the pain can stop?"
Yeah. Just get some rest. Okay.
When will the pain stop?
I don't know. I hear soon.
And he reaches for your hand, Russell, and he can't speak anymore, but he just mouths, "Thank you."
I will take his hand at it. Um, I've seen them attend to him more than one time, so I will definitely like change like cold compresses, put the blanket back on him, just making sure that he's as comfortable as possible.
And Russell, as you were there by his bedside, a flash of movement catches your eye, so you look towards the window. And it doesn't look like a window anymore. It looks almost like a screen. And it's strange because for a moment you think the image is wholly on the screen and not in the room around you, but you realize the room is getting smoky, that the bed is now completely obscured. You're not really able to see even the door, but you can hear movement. You can hear your name being called. And as you look at that screen, you see Elliot's face on it. You see what you remember of that last glimpse of him that you saw before you were taken to be brought out to escape the fire. And you remember that instead of the gratitude you thought you might see, the bliss of no longer being trapped in a body that is slowly giving up on life, you see panic, you see fear. And you know as arms pick you up and take you away that he is going to face that fear alone.
Sorry, Elliot.
What is Russell feeling as he is carried away from his roommate?
A lot of guilt. I think Elliot not knowing that something was coming might have made it sting less than, because what Russell ended up doing was giving him something and then taking something away. It was hope. He thought in a moment that he was being soft, but it's actually the cruelest thing he's done.
And Russell, you are carried away into the smoke. And you find yourself moments later standing outside the funhouse, back in the sunlight, being able to breathe clear, crisp air again.
Between the coughing and the deep inhalations of breath, he's also sobbing. That guilt, that loss, that it's all just sort of one big lump or stuck in the center of his chest.
And Russell, as you're trying to catch your breath, trying to take that moment, you feel a hand come to rest on your shoulder. I don't know that do you feel like you even need to look?
I think there's an instinctive, but more like a looking just to like turn, lean into it.
It's Elliot, and it takes you a moment to realize that, Russell, because you never knew him outside of the tuberculosis ward. You never saw him healthy, strong. So perhaps this is your image of what Elliot would look like if the disease had never claimed him. But he stands there and he doesn't say anything, but the look in his eyes says, "It's okay. I forgive you."
I didn't. I was trying to help. I'm sorry.
I know. That's why I forgive you.
Hmm. Are you at peace now?
The look shifts to one of sadness.
You're not.
I am. You're
Then
the
why?
one who's not.
Oh, yeah, but we're gonna figure it out, and then we can see each other again. Not the tuberculosis one.
Maybe we can come back here.
Maybe
I always wanted to ride the Ferris wheel.
not the fun house stuff. It's not fun.
No, not the funhouse.
Not fun. Okay, we can come back here.
And Elliot stretches down a pinky to you. Promise?
Promise.
And I think we're going to leave Russell and Elliot on that moment. And we're going to jump back into this funhouse of experiences that are
Mm,
happening right
mm.
here. Because that means that we are now going to be moving. I have to remember the order of everything. We're going to be
Christian,
jumping
then
to
we,
Christian.
yeah.
No, that tracks.
Mhm.
And so, Christian,
Yeah.
the first thing you realize is that you're back in your own body. You know what Weston's body feels like, and this is not that.
Or denser. Like Christian was like corn fed boy. You know what I mean? Like old school footballer type. So yeah, there's just a lot of bulk, but not overly so. Of course, you know he wasn't one of those circus freaks.
And Christian, you are moving through the funhouse, not in the same direction as Russell. I mean, there are a few moments of floorboards moving, ground getting shaky,
Mm.
the type of fun that's meant to be in a fun house, you know.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
And then you step out into a room, into a room of mirrors.
Mm.
And it takes a moment before those familiar figures move around you. Abigail, Priscilla, Susanna, Deborah, Elizabeth, Hannah, Judith, and Siobhan.
Okay, we're here. What now?
Reflected in the mirrors around you, Christian, you see their hands stretch out, coming to rest on your shoulders, your arms. Do you let that happen?
Yeah.
You hear them ask with one voice, why? Why did you trust him?
Because he was a man of God. And I didn't know he was going behind my back. How was I supposed to know he was using my wife to change up the story? Made me think Hiram. I didn't have any reason not to trust him.
The feeling you get from them, Christian, isn't anger. It's not disappointment either. What you're actually feeling, even before they speak again as one, is understanding, compassion. And they say, we understand what it's like to trust someone you shouldn't have.
Yeah. And honestly, more than trusting him, I trusted her. But it's not like we were perfect angels, certainly. But I don't know, that story was most truth I told. But it was twisted. It's heartbreaking. I'm sorry.
They let their hands move away from you, drop to their side, and very simply say, we forgive you. And Christian, you talked before about that guilt, but in this moment, surrounded by these specters, it becomes clear to you that you're the only one holding on to that. They are not putting it on you.
I think for Christian, he takes out his little notepad. Gonna write down each of the names, including Siobhan's. Gonna write at the end of it, thank you. It's gonna close it. It's gonna set it down, sort of in the middle between all of them. He's gonna walk away from it.
And you at least hear, if not see this, you hear rustling, you hear movement. If you were to look back, you would see them kneel down to reach out to touch that piece of paper. And in front of you, a mirror opens, leaving you free to walk outside.
Christian will walk.
And we are going to jump now to Raven.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, Raven,
Yeah.
you too find yourself standing in these darkened hallways, though the space around you is a bit more illuminated. As you start moving forward, you are in some of the parts of the funhouse that, well, get a little more fun. That rolling barrel that you can walk through,
Mm-hmm.
lights, different holographic images, things to trick and tease the senses. That
Oh,
is where you are.
Raven is having a great time. I think of that little like barrel. He just sort of rolls around in it one good time. It just sort of spills out. It's great. I think he's far more casual about it than any of the others have been.
I think that makes sense. And I think it also makes sense that for Raven, there is this period of time where you are just able to enjoy yourself. This is just fun. And in fact, you start to hear laughter from yourself. You start to hear laughter all around you from others too. Just a bunch of people having a good time, enjoying themselves.
This is my kind of scene. This is what I'm about. The enjoyment of myself and others. This is a groovy time.
And it's almost mostly movement out of the corner of your eye, Raven, but you see different moments. You see, well, you brought many people into the cult of the sacred flame through enjoyment, through drugs, through sex, through all of it. And you start to see those moments, the fun moments, the moments where you locked them in, got them interested, made them take that first step. How are you feeling about these moments and these reflections?
Obviously, I probably could have been using my powers for good. But listen, it was a means to an end. It was a means for me to end up with as much drugs and sex as I wanted. Now, did I realize pretty quickly that this was a dangerous place to be? Yeah. But, makes your makes your high with a little bit of fear of dying. It's only better, really.
And as you're making that reflection, Raven, you hear voices around you ask, better for who?
Me.
Yes, for you, because it's always about you, Raven.
I mean, it's not always about me, but it is better when it is.
How many bodies are worth that? And you start to see flashes of that. Some simple overdoses, others being branded, their flesh scarred, others on the pyre, others who wanted to leave and needed to be taken care of. How many bodies are there, Raven?
He made it a point not to count. By that, I mean he knows exactly how many that he was specifically responsible for bringing that didn't make it. I think the number was 17. And now that's spread out amongst those options, obviously.
Hmm.
But yeah, 17 adversely affected. Now, that doesn't, of course, say anything about the ones that did make it in that were just fine, but I suppose just one of those is bad.
And I think you realize pretty quickly that, at least in terms of what this funhouse is showing you, they're counting way more than 17. They're counting they're counting even those who were successful in joining and staying in the cult, but later met other sorts of fates based on their experiences there.
I mean, school's not held responsible for what their graduates do. They moved on from our influence and found their ways to other things. That's not my fault. Can't be held accountable for that.
You knew it was dangerous. You brought them in anyways.
Right. They weren't doing anything with their lives.
And what were you doing with your life, Raven?
Well, before this little job, nothing. This job gave me purpose. And it's funny. The drugs were a perk eventually. They started out as the main draw. Oh no. I didn't believe in the teachings. I believed in the person, in the charisma, the spirit of that I believe. Probably could have had my way with them if I wanted, but would have wanted me to be burned, and I wasn't into that, you know? Like I don't love this. This is bullshit.
You feel that mark heating up against your skin.
No, they're around. They're here. Now I bear the mark, even after all these years.
And it's actually interesting, Raven. You make that comment about how the bearer of the sacred flame, must be near, but you realize that's not what you feel. You feel their absence, not their presence. It's just you. It's just you and your ghosts, and they're not one of them.
You're supposed to be one of my ghosts. Hmm. I think Raven just sort of separates himself from the moment. There's a lot riding on it. And I think he's starting to do what he normally does. Situations are getting hard or overly complicated. Starts to detach himself.
And I think with that, I'm going to ask for a roll, and I'm just considering what I might want what I might want to have you roll here.
Sure.
Because I think with this, Raven, this could essentially be a fight or flight roll.
Mm-hmm.
You could run away from this. You could get away.
Mm-hmm.
You could always choose to try to withstand this and roll to remain calm.
Okay. I think in this moment, he's going to try to remain calm.
So that is a flat roll, though it is meant to be minus your psychic damage.
Eek. Okay, hold on. Let's see. How's he doing? Yeah, that's the child. Okay. Only -1.
Okay, that's much better than I expected. Incredible.
7.
Incredible. Take one psychic damage, but
Sure.
you are able to hold steady in that moment.
Okay.
What is Raven's reason for trying to remain calm instead of just disengaging the way he would rather?
Because he's stuck. And honestly, how boring. They're here. They're in a story. If he was just to dip out, then he would miss the finale. It's been wild so far.
And Raven, you are looking for that excitement. You are looking for that dopamine hit. You are
Mm.
looking for all of that. And you realize everything around you is going still. There's no more flashes of movement, no more whispering voices talking to you. Even the funhouse, it's just a dilapidated, boring, barely held together funhouse. You see the different, I'm completely forgetting words in this moment, but you are beginning to see what makes up the funhouse. You are seeing the different gears and elements where the lights are located, how they made the floor do that thing, how they're keeping that barrel rolling, what made that optical illusion. And it's like seeing into the world and losing all interest because you're seeing behind the scenes.
Interesting. I think it's not that he loses interest. I think it shifts. It's more an interest in how it's made. In because there's a thing that he can do. There's a question he can ask. How to make more chaos. And the mechanics, the inner workings of a fun house, having that knowledge in his brain would allow him for an infinite amount of chaos. So I think he's really he's back in. He's bought in, but it's less as a participant and more an observer of how the things work. That makes sense.
I think that makes perfect sense, Raven. And I think as you're reflecting first on these inner workings of the funhouse, making those mental notes, figuring out how you could use all of this, it's not that thread that you follow because you're thinking about what will keep the party going, what will keep the chaos going.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it strikes you, Raven. They want you to acknowledge your guilt or whatever this is meant to do. Like,
Right.
that's, the goal. But what's that going to do? What's going to be the benefit of that? Because, one, I mean, that's not fun, like, first of all. But
Thank you. Exactly.
second of all, so what? You all move on. What does that mean for you? What's going to happen if this story is brought to a close? You said you didn't want to miss the finale, but what if the finale is it? What if that's the end?
Oh, gross. Hard pass. Hmm. Well, maybe I need to see what's behind the scenes.
And as you're thinking that, Raven, the funhouse responds, and for you, technically it responds in a fun way, but a deliberate way, a way
Mm-hmm.
that says, not right now, because the floor drops out from under you, and you're in a slide.
Oh, well, that's fun. We zoomed. We got blurry for a second there. Wee.
Zipping your way down, reaching the outside, not even realizing you'd been up on like the third floor of this thing.
Oh wow.
And that brings us to Weston. Weston, how do you approach walking through the funhouse?
It's not so much a walk as a stalk. He does not want to be here. Does not want to do this, but knows that there is an objective, and so is ready to do that objective. Um, so I think even with the place moving, he is rigid. Just walk, walk, walk. Like if the ground is shaking, he's only barely moving. Like those quads are engaged as he's just managing to stay upright. Yeah, it's all out of spite.
And Weston, you are making your way through. You are dealing with those same sliding floors, all of that unnecessary ridiculousness that is a part of this. And I doubt you care when this change happens because why would you? But there comes a point where you're walking and the ground is no longer solid. It feels squishy. And there are things brushing up against the side of your legs, sort of feel like fingers. How long do you keep going on this surface? Especially as it begins to make squelching sounds as you feel wetness seeping into your shoes.
I think after there's a particularly like difficult step where there's that just like little pop of suction as he pulls his foot out, that he will stop and look down. What is it on the floor?
I mean, Weston, you're familiar with the beaten, bloodied body of Eric Sharp.
Mm,
Not really a surprise. Now, honestly, it's just kind of predictable.
right.
Of course, you're having to walk all over him. Of course, he's there.
Mhm.
Of course, he's apparently spread out across like an entire hallway's length. Honestly, unnecessary.
Yeah. Question: is it like multiple instances of him, or is just the hallway made of him?
Always made of him. Thank you so much for that
You're wel-
clarifying
you're
question.
welcome. It was important that I know. I don't love that either way, but I think this one is worse. So thanks. Um, what do you want an apology?
He really has no face, so he doesn't answer.
Okay. I'm sorry that I killed you. I wish you hadn't been in the way. This was not what I wanted, not how I wanted my career to go. Hiding murders, certainly, but not my own. You were upset, and rightfully so, but you were also an obstacle. So, and now you're a floor, which is not my fault. It's whoever's doing this. So take that up with them, I guess.
Weston, I need you to roll with physicality.
Great. Oh. Oh dear. Okay. Well, okay. Okay. That's a 7.
Okay. And so, Weston, as you finish talking, the hallway, saying it shakes isn't quite appropriate because this is much more of a severe tremor. It's enough that it knocks you off of your feet. And you don't completely fall, but you do at least end up going down on one knee in the midst of Eric.
Feel better? Listen, you clearly have something to get off of your chest, which I assume is somewhere here. I think he's gonna look up to like in like a corner somewhere where there should be a camera. Who knows? I think
There
this will
is
go
one.
better. I'm sorry, there's a camera.
There is one.
Great. I think this will actually go better if I can talk to him rather than to the floor. Can you do that?
You hear that same distorted and glitchy voice that you heard earlier say, and what good would that do? What would you say to him? Tell him once again that he was just an obstacle to be removed
He was.
in the wrong place at the wrong time.
He was.
And where's your responsibility, Weston?
I don't follow.
You've explained how this was just something you had to do.
He was.
You had no choice.
I had a choice. I chose myself. I chose my career. What would you have done?
We're not talking about me, Weston. We're
Oh,
talking about you.
oh, okay. So now suddenly we don't like questions. Interesting. I've already told you my side of it, why I did what I did. You want this to go somewhere.
I do.
Okay. It was illegal.
That doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
What makes your life and your career worth more than his?
I was willing to fight for it.
You were willing to kill for it.
That too.
And what if you became an obstacle to someone else?
Then better be strong enough to remove me.
And what if they were?
Then I would be removed.
Would you deserve it?
It's not about deserving it.
What is it about?
It's about it's about power. As has been for eons. Those with the power and the will come out on top. Those that don't die or serve.
And you are determined to hold that power.
Yes.
What would you do if you had all of the power? What type of world would you create?
One where everyone gets a fair chance. One where it's simple. You have what you can keep. You need to be strong enough to keep it.
What about those who aren't strong?
Then it's a cruel but short and brief life. Try again. Or find friends. Your teamwork helps.
Oh, Weston, what do you know about teamwork?
I've employed some of that here. Have I not?
It's not teamwork when it's coming from a place of selfishness.
Why not?
Because it's not about the team, it's about yourself.
I don't see why that can't be one and the same.
Don't you?
If I'm working with other people to satisfy my aims, but we are still working together, why does it have to be? Why does it have to be some altruistic thing?
I never introduced the idea of altruism into this.
It's teamwork, not charity. We all have goals. We all have aims, something that we want. So why can't we? Why can't I engage in teamwork while still going after my goals?
It's not that they can't be aligned, Weston. It's that, well, if push came to shove, you would throw all of these people under the bus if it meant that you lived.
Yes.
That's not teamwork. And then there's a shift in questioning, or at least I imagine it feels that way for Weston,
Hmm.
because the voice then asks, why do you want a child?
Optics.
So that child too could be thrown under the bus.
Wild that this is the question that's happening right now. I'll be honest. You have me at a loss. What is the reason for this question?
Why are you so reluctant to answer it?
Because it was a bullshit question. Oh, I see. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was on the bench. At the stand. Apologies. More than
But
likely, no.
mm,
If I'm to have a child, I want someone who will take on my legacy. So, doesn't seem wise to be willing to throw them under the bus.
but again, Weston, it's all about you. It's about the optics of being a family man. It's about having a child who can carry your name forward.
Yes.
What makes that the kind of life you would want for a child?
That's the life that so many people before me have fought for. Legacy, power, just fulfillment of purpose and self. I'm not the first to have these aspirations. We all want to be able to pass things along, to write our names on the face of history one way or another. Why is it so profound that I'm willing to do that?
Because, Weston, all of this began for you decades and decades and decades before you were born. Because a child wanted to comfort his friend. Because a child wanted his friend not to suffer. And he made a mistake. And here you are now, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, not weighed down by guilt or a child making a choice he couldn't have even have understood the ramifications of.
You look at that. I am hope made manifest. Not shackled by guilt or obligation. Do you still want me to apologize? Or do you think we've learned our lesson?
I think you've learned a lesson.
Is it the one you wanted?
It doesn't matter what I want.
And who does it matter to? Who is this all for?
I don't follow.
What is this all for? Who is it for? All this theatrics, all the drama. Why?
It's not for me. I have no more control over any of this than you do. It is in the hopes that one day we will make a different decision, but I can see that today is not that day.
was a different decision. Has been a different decision.
Has it?
The child didn't do for himself, did for someone else. I'm doing for me.
Then we will see where that takes you, Weston.
Sure.
Perhaps I am too far enmeshed in this. Maybe you do have a point. Maybe you, Weston, have found a way to break this cycle.
Maybe. Are you part of our cycle?
And there is a very long moment of silence. And then simply, yes.
Hmm. So you're the missing link then.
I'm the devil.
Well, tell me your devilishness. What the fuck happened?
And the voice says, well, the judgment protocol activated.
The judgment protocol. Oh, would you look at that? My husband's love for X9 video games might come in handy, because that sounds like a video game. Something or other. Let me guess, you can't explain what that means at all?
If I'm frank, I don't think you deserve to know what that means.
You're not Frank, you're the devil. Gotcha.
Honestly, I'm ready to give up that moniker. I think it might better suit you.
Okay. You want us out of here. You want us to break the cycle, right?
Yes, obviously.
Okay. Then hiding shit from me is not gonna help us. So, let's try it again. What is the judgment protocol?
It's all of this. It's everything you've experienced since you came to Slate Thorn. It was my final attempt to fix things.
Oh, so this is your fault.
If we're casting blame, then yes, I suppose so.
I mean, listen, you've been coming here with a lot of blame and shame. when you're the reason all this is fucked up. So maybe, yeah. Thirsty?
It was time to try something different.
Something different. And what exactly does it all entail? Because protocols mean that there's parameters set, actions. Listen, I'm willing to work with you. I'll even do the song and dance of I'm sorry, if that helps. But I would like to be free from here.
I'm not looking for feigned apologies, Weston. You're free to go. Hello, we are back for the third and hopefully final time because OBS hates us. But we are here where Weston is having a conversation with the devil, a mysterious, glitchy, shadowy figure who is currently coming through just over an intercom from somewhere. And you have been granted an exit to this funhouse.
Great. Now, are you going to keep the rest of the ghosts with you?
As in Russell, Christian, Raven.
Yeah.
I hadn't planned to. I don't think I can.
No, I just meant here while you all figure out what the fuck's going on. Or do I take them with me?
I would recommend taking them with you.
Well, that kind of fucking defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
We may have a very different opinion on what the purpose is.
You want to break the cycle. With this judgment protocol. Okay? How about this? Let's just, for fun, start again.
End this cycle. Begin a new one.
No, fuck that. I mean, us, you and I. There's something that you want here. Something you want me to see.
I'm not sure it's something that I want you to see, Weston. I thought it was. I think it might have been something I needed to see. And I have.
Great. What'd you see?
I saw you. I heard you. I have seen what I needed to.
Okay. What's the next play?
Go back to where it all started. And for you to make the choices that you need to make. The choices that you, Weston, would make.
Okay. I think he's gonna walk out of the funhouse.
And you hear the voice from behind you say, leave however many bodies in your wake that you need to.
Productive as this is, I think this is the first genuine smile that Weston has had in a while. Like, it's tipped up at the corners, it's reached his eyes. There's actually some light in there, as opposed to the normal sort of like shark eyes. And he's going to out of the funhouse.
And I think that is the image that we will wrap on. Weston stepping out into the light with that first genuine smile on his face as he prepares for what comes next.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, did we have a time tonight.
Oh boy, did we. He's such an asshole. My God.
You were so convincing that you were able to reframe the devil's entire perspective on this situation.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
All right, Q, I'm going to tag you in to do some outros, and then I'm going to be looking for someone to raid as you are doing that.
Okay, hi, I'm Hugh. I played a bunch of different ghosts in here. Weston, Raven, Christian, and Russell. Um, they're all having a time here, TM. When you don't see me here, you can find me out on the internet at Midnight Inc. That is midnight, no more underscore. I am Q. Q's my name, I'm sure you get it. Save a horse, ride a cowboy. I'm still making cowboys. What's up next? Let's see. Saturday, I'll be here for hopefully class reunion. It's been far too long. I was on my break, but now we're back in it. And then Sunday, we'll be here for a super special episode of Season of Secrets and Shadows, where I'm playing like my first cowboy on the channel. Didn't realize it, but here we are. Mr. Dorian Black, King of Hell. So that's gonna be fun for everyone, probably. Yeah, and then Tuesday should be here yet again for Nephilim Tenebris, where I'm playing my space cowboy, Captain Cassidy Starrunner, who is currently on a run and gun, trying to storm the castle, aka some scientific facility. Yeah, so I think that's it for now. We got other stuff coming down the mountain. Oh, you're right. There we go. I almost forgot. Tikov, they call us villains. We just had our first big fight. And now we're going to be waking up. Well, we've just woken up to going on lockdown. So that's going to be fun for everybody, probably.
Committed some homicides.
That you can't prove that. Actually, you can't prove that. We just know that there was darkness and then there were bodies. And how did the blood get there? That's so weird.
Second time that you've asked that question when it came to Connor.
Yeah, that's so true. That's so true. Also, I'm still so mad. because I was like, oh no, what if these are bodies? And then and then we came to, I was like, oh no, they're bodies. Oh no.
Was one of my favorites. Just see being like, "Hey, JD, you said carnage. What does that mean?"
Mhm, mhm.
And I was like, "It
Yeah,
sure means what you think it
it
means."
sure does. It sure does. I should have gone with my first instinct, but they needed to die. It's fine. Anyway, so yeah, that's me.
I will be excited both to see the games that you are in, especially with so many that I am also a part of. I'm now realizing we have a lot of overlap,
It's so true. It's so true.
and I'm excited to be back for a season of Secrets and Shadows, and I'm excited to hear what is coming down the pike for you as well, Q. So, real quick, can only keep it to the next week. I actually would have forgotten TCOV because I don't look a week ahead at this point because there are too many things on my calendar. Couple of things. I will be back here tomorrow night. We are doing our second one-shot in support of the ACLU along with Guild Superior, Folk and Myth, Wanderer's Haven, and a number of other channels. Tomorrow night, we will be doing Criticality, Kids on Bikes one-shot at 8 o'clock for that. I will be here with Q for class reunion on Saturday. I will be with Wanderer's Haven for one of their games benefiting the ACLU on Saturday afternoon. And then I will be back here on Sunday morning running a season of Secrets and Shadows, our 8-table event set at a ball. So we're going to see how that happens when everyone is back at the same place for the first time in like a season and a half. It feels like it's been longer. And then I have a bunch of other things that are on the horizon. We do not need to go through all of them because I will be back here to promote them. So, what I am going to do is bring us over to raid Guild Superior. They are live doing one of their events for the ACLU right now. And so, with that, it has been a night. I'm going to remember to drop socials. So, if you like what we are doing here, you can find us on the only social media that we are now on, which is Blue Sky. It is a great way to find out about upcoming games. And then you are also encouraged and welcome to join our Discord community, where you can hear us chat about characters, chat about different games, see casting calls for special events, and just generally hang out, do pictures of pets, see what really cool meals people are cooking, and fun things like that. But it has been a long night. We are going to call it and hang around for the raid. We're going to pop over to send some love to Guild Superior. So say good night, Q.
Good night, Q.
Good night.